I hate to say this, but when it comes to employment, blind people are cooked. And if you live with blindness and you're already considered low vision or legally blind, then you already have probably had this epiphany or realization. But I had this realization because lately I've been applying for jobs. And at the end of job applications, it'll ask you to disclose if you have a disability or not. You have to say basically, yes, I have a disability, or have had a disability, or no, I'm not disabled, or I prefer to not disclose. So take someone like me who's living with an eye condition like retinitis pigmentosa, and I'm in that weird gray area of vision loss where I've lost vision, but I'm not in the legally blind realm or world yet. So I'm not considered blind or low vision according to the government. So when it comes to checking that box on the job application, I'm kind of like, I don't know, do I check it? Do I disclose that I have this eye condition? Will that hurt my chances of getting a job? Will that help me with certain job applications when it comes to DEI? I don't know. But I'm like, do I check the box or not? So with that said, in some of these job applications, it will list, a list of disabilities in alphabetical order. And, very quickly I can find the one that says blind, low vision. Everyone in society basically knows what blind is, and their idea of blindness is completely blind, you can't see a thing. Then you have low vision, which is basically like a synonym for legally blind. And legally blind, for those who don't know, is where you have a field of vision of 20 degrees or less, or your visual acuity is 2200 or worse with corrective lenses. So you could have bad vision, but if you put glasses on and you can see sharply, then you're not legally blind. So when you have an eye condition like retinitis pigmentosa, it affects my peripheral vision. So most people have a full field of vision. Mine is more narrow. I'm seeing the center of that field of vision that most people have full field of vision. And on that note, the last time I went to my eye doctor, a retinal specialist, he gave me a number for my field of vision. He thought I was in the 40 to 60 degree range of vision, which, to remind you, is not 20 degrees or less, which would make me legally blind or low vision. So again, I'm in that gray area where vision loss is affecting my life, yet I'm not visually impaired enough to be qualified for any legal benefits. So therefore, any assistance to help my visual impairment is not required or even expected or even just acknowledged, to be honest with you. It's an unfair catch-22, basically, where I'm visually impaired enough to face challenges in my daily life, yet not impaired enough to get any sort of recognized support for that visual impairment. So long story short, when it comes to checking that box on the job application, I'm technically not considered disabled. So I'm going to click that box that says, no, I'm not disabled, yet let's say I have to go into the office and I'm operating with a reduced field of vision. I'm going to have to explain that. But that conversation and that acknowledgement of my RP isn't going to come out naturally. I'm going to have to find the correct time to bring that up if I got hired and was brought into an office, because I'm going to have to explain it because they will notice strange things that I do or don't see with my current field of vision. It's just how it is. But then that got me thinking more. It's like, it's kind of messed up because I'm not visually impaired enough to even receive benefits like SSDI. So what SSDI is like you basically are visually impaired enough where you can't work. So therefore you get paid every month, basically similar to unemployment, but you're getting like a higher amount to basically pay your living expenses because you're not able to work based off your disability, which in my case is blindness. And I don't consider myself blind. I'm part of the blindness community, but I don't describe myself as someone who's blind. I describe myself as someone with a visual impairment. And then as I age into my RP, I'm going to become low vision or legally blind. And I'll be honest, I don't want to claim SSDI. Like, I'd rather work, because when you get SSDI, there's a cap on how much they give you each month. And you're basically locked into that, and it limits your income. And, I live in New York City, I'm married, and, I like to travel. I like to do things. So I need more income than what SSDI is going to give me. So I don't even want SSDI, but I'm just saying, even if I wanted SSDI, I could not receive it because my field of vision is too high. So what that means is I'm expected to work, right? I'm expected to work. I can't claim SSDI, therefore I have to work to have an income. That's where it gets kind of weird because I have a reduced field of vision, so I can't do things like drive Uber. I can't be a bartender because my vision in the dark is terrible and I have pockets of just missing vision. So the opportunities in my job pool have shrinked tremendously, but yet there's nothing really balancing it out. The workforce doesn't account for these degrees of disability or blindness. It's basically blind or not blind. So as someone who is not considered legally blind, I'm expected to operate at full capacity. I'm expected to do the exact same things that people living with a full field of vision are expected to do. So getting to work may be a challenge for me because I can't drive and I have to take the subway and I got to make sure I don't bump into every one of these crowded subway systems. I have to change my computer settings to kind of boost the scale of things so I can see them better. So I'm operating differently, yet I get paid the same and I have the same expectations as someone who doesn't have a visual impairment. So long story short, blind people are and I hate to say it, and I know this sounds more whiny than like my typical videos, but I mean, even if you break it down, like let's say you're fully blind, you're on the fully blind side of the spectrum of blindness, and you want to make more money than what SSDI offers. So you go into the job force and you work a career. You're not getting paid more than the sighted person doing your same job, but yet you're operating at a higher difficulty level because you're doing the same job a sighted person's doing, but you're doing it while blind, but yet the pay's the same. Let's be real here. It's harder to be blind than it is sighted. So that's going to carry over into a job. So let's use my mom as an example. She worked as a school teacher when she was legally blind. She didn't get any extra pay for that. Yet she had to go to a full classroom full of kids and, they're out of her field of vision and she had to teach a full career with basically no accommodations, no extra pay, doing the same job that sighted teachers are doing, just saying. So she had the same expectation as other sighted teachers in terms of test scores and results for classes and things like that. She had the same job responsibilities, yet she's legally blind doing everything. And my friend Steve, he works very hard and he's in a more office job and he's leading teams blind. He doesn't get any special treatment for his blindness. Not that he would want it, because that's just how he is. And shout out to Steve for being the way he is. But my point is, he still goes to work just like anybody else. But he's blind and he has to navigate offices blindly, meetings blindly, technology blindly, and it adds a certain level of difficulty, yet there's no extra compensation for that difficulty. So yeah, it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Living with blindness, you have this disadvantage. You have a disadvantage. That's why it's called a disability. Yet you're still expected to pay the same bills. Just because you have a disability doesn't mean your energy bill gets lower or your rent gets lowered. You still have to pay for the same shit at the same cost that everyone else is paying. Yet you're working with this disadvantage. So if you're someone living with blindness and you're working full time, shout out to you because you're doing it with the disadvantage and you deserve the praise. Because life is hard and you're living with a disadvantage, yet you're still providing for yourself, your family. So be proud of yourself if you're a working blind person or a retired blind person, or you're working part-time, or you're working to get a job, or you're trying to get a job as a blind person. Shit's not easy. So anyways, I just wanted to put this idea out there. I know I'm not the first to think this, but I just kind of had this realization and it all kind of clicked with me when I had to click that box in the job applications.